Hey everybody, this is Mr. Storm, and in this video we are going to begin working on a new project that's going to take us till the end of the term. It's going to be kind of a big project. What we're going to do is we're going to create a text adventure game, and this is going to be much more advanced than the other text adventure games we've created for our previous classes. This game is going to use object-oriented programming to allow us to do some pretty cool stuff. In our previous text adventure games in Programming 1, all we were able to do really was just have methods that separated our story beats, and then we would go from one part of the story to the next. In this game, this is going to be much more like an RPG. What's going to happen is we're going to introduce the player to the story. You get to make your character, choose certain traits based on your experience. There's going to be a random battle combat system. There's going to be a shopping system with potions and all kinds of crazy stuff. And you're going to have to reach a certain level of XP to move on to the next part of the story. So you're going to be doing random battles until you can defeat enough enemies to move on. So let's break down the plan. So anytime I start a bigger project like this, I create a document that looks like this, that has our classes and all the methods that we're going to have inside the classes. And then I have my story all written out here so that whenever it's time for me to just create the story of the game, I can just copy and paste these paragraphs and pop them into the program. Sorry. Now you're going to create your own story for this. So you're going to want to write your own paragraphs. We're going to talk about the story here in a little bit. We're not going to need to have a story yet, so you have time to come up with an idea. But for right now, let's talk about the plan that I have for this game. So we're going to have a main class with our main method in it. That's by default. And this main method is really only going to call our start game method. So our game logic class is going to be the most of our programming is going to be here. This is going to be the class that handles all of the functionality of the game for the most part. So we're going to have stuff like these methods are all intended just to make formatting the project a bit easier. This will help us to not have to type out system.out.println over and over again, or instantiate our scanner too many times. We can just do it once in one method and then call that method every time we need it. We're going to use our try catch that we just learned to make sure that they're entering the right inputs. Then we have our game handling methods. Start game, check act. We have random encounter, continue journey, character info, shop. These are all going to handle the actual game. We have a game loop method, which is going to handle the sequence in which these things move. Then we have a story class. The story class is going to hold all of our story elements in separate methods that we can call whenever we need them. Then down here we have a character class. This character class is going to be a superclass, which is going to define any type of character we have in the game. So we're going to have a character constructor method. We're going to have an attack method and a defend method. Now our player is actually going to extend character, and our enemy is also going to extend character. So what's going to happen is player is going to be a character, and it's going to have a player constructor with attack and defend methods, but it's also going to have another method called choose trait, which will allow you to choose a bonus like an attack or defense trait that you can apply. And then enemy is going to be another child of the character class. It's going to have its own constructor, and it's going to have an attack and defend. And then, like I said, I have my story all written out here. It's not a great story, as you'll see. It's not super interesting, but it's something. It's enough to have a project. All right, cool. So now that we have the plan, what I like to do as a next step is, once I have the plan here, I like to go in and actually build all of these methods and all of these classes. That way I have kind of a skeleton of the project, and I can just write methods as I go. This is going to help me to ensure that, for one, the project doesn't get out of control with its scale. And also, I can remember the structure and I don't accidentally create multiple methods in different classes that do the same thing. If I plan it out correctly, then and then create the skeleton, basically the body or the structure, then I can add things to these methods to make the game actually work. So I'm going to, let's grab a new tab over here, squish that there, bring this here, and I'm going to squish this over. All right, there we go. Okay, let's go to Replit. And I'm going to create a new Java project, text adventure game teacher edition. All right, and create. Okay, so we have our main class. I'm going to get rid of my output here because we are not going to need that yet. We're not testing this game at all today. All right, so I have my main class here and my main method already built. Good. I can highlight those green. Why did I get rid of? Oh, yeah. See, I kind of squished all that out of the way. That's fine. We don't need to highlight. We can just move on. Next, I want my game logic class. So game logic.java. Okay, and the game logic class is going to have a ton of methods in it. Let's start with, you know what? We can just do it in this order. That's fine. So public class game logic. Oh, logic. And inside of here, we are going to have let's do readInt first. This is going to be public static. It's going to be an integer method, readInt. And this is actually going to bring in some arguments. We're going to need, we're going to do a string prompt, basically something that it's going to be a formatted piece of text that's going to give them like a prompt to enter their choice. And then we're going to bring in the choices. Okay. And all right, that method's done. Now, obviously, inside of here, we're going to definitely want to put, all the stuff that goes inside of a method, but we don't actually need to put that yet. We're just building the structure. And I'm going to put comments as I go so I don't get confused as to which user input from console. Okay. So that's the method to get user input. All right, next we're going to create the clear console method. So method to simulate clearing the console. Public static void clear console. All right. Then we're going to need a method to print a separator with a length of n. Public static void print separator, and we're going to bring in an argument integer n. Okay. And all that's going to do is it's going to output a bunch of hyphens, the amount of hyphens we want, to print a separator between our pieces of text. Okay, perfect. Let's do a method to print a heading. Public static void print heading. Bring in a string called title. All right. Next, we're going to create a method called anything to continue. So we're already down to here. We're moving along. What's going on here? No, you're good. So print to continue is basically a method to stop time until the user enters something. Basically a way to pause the functioning of the program so that we don't, skip past important parts. public static void anything to continue. And no arguments there. Perfect. And then we're going to have a start game method. Method to start the game. Public static void start game. All right. Beautiful. Check act. So we're down to here now. Check act. This method is going to change method to change the game's values based on user XP. So public static void check act. All right, cool. And then next is going to be random encounter. So let's go there. All right. Random encounter is basically just going to calculate random encounters. This is going to be like the taking a rest or random battles or, a merchant popping up, stuff like that. Public static void random encounter. All right. We're going to have a continue journey method. Method to continue the journey. Public static void continue journey. This method is really just going to check to see which act. Well, it's going to call the check act method that we just created up here if we are not in Act 4. So if we are in Act 4, then it's going, what this is going to do is it's going to check to see if the act needs to be increased. If it does, then we are going to increase the act. But if the act is anything but Act 4, it's going to call a random encounter in between the story beats. Okay. Then we want character info. This is going to be the method that populates information about our character. So printing out the most important information about the player. Public static void character info. This is going to be like your information screen in a game where the user can check to see like their player's XP, their health, all that kind of stuff. All right, let's create our shopping method. Shopping. Public static void shop. And yeah, we're just creating empty methods all day today. That's all we're doing for this project. Again, we're creating the skeleton. And by the way, this also helps with your bracket confusion. With some of these bigger projects, it's almost impossible to make sure that you don't have random French brackets just sitting somewhere where they don't belong. So doing it like this will allow us to organize everything from the very beginning, and we won't have to worry about trying to hunt down issues with brackets. All right, next is taking a rest. Public static void take rest. Okay. And then we have our random battle. Creating a random battle. Okay. Public static void random battle. All right. That's going to be a big method. It's going to have a bunch of information in it, a bunch of stuff. All right. Random battle. Oh, you know what? We need our battle method. Actually, the battle method is going to be the big method with all the stuff in it. That's the one. Yeah. The random battle isn't going to be too much, actually. It's just going to calculate what you're actually fighting against. The main battle method is going to be the big one. So public static void battle, and then we need to bring in an enemy. All right. Okay. So then we're going to do, where are we? Random battle, battle, final battle. Did we do our print menu? Just want to make sure that we did our print menu, because I feel like we skipped it. We did anything to continue. Yep, we missed the print menu. Let's do that now. Printing the main menu. It doesn't really matter where these go. It just, in my mind, it makes sense to have them in this order. Void print menu, because this is kind of like more of a helper method up here at the top, and these are more combat heavy methods down here at the bottom. All right, we have our final battle. The final battle of the game. Public, static, void, final battle. All right. And then let's have a player died method. Method that is called when the player dies. Public, static, void, player died. Oh. Okay. And the final method in this class is going to be the game loop. So, main game loop. Public, static, void, game loop. Okay, perfect. So that is that class. I mean, or yeah, that's that class. Just with creating the methods, not actually adding anything to them, we're almost at 100 lines of code. So you can kind of see the scale of this project. All right, next is the story. Let's create a story class. Story.java. All righty. Okay. Public class story. And the first thing is going to be print intro. Intro. All right, let's put a comment. Introduction to the... Actually, I don't need comments for these. These are pretty self-explanatory. Okay. So print intro, then public, static, void. Oh, did I put class up here? Public, static, void. And actually, it's going to go a lot faster if I copy and paste these, because these are all going to be static void methods. And I can just change the name. Print first act intro. All right. Copy. Outro. Print second act intro. Print second act outro. All right. Then we have third act intro. Oh my gosh. Look at this. I spelled print wrong here, and because I've been copy and pasting, it's going to everything. Oh my gosh, that's embarrassing. All right. Fixing those. We're fine. We're fine. No one exploded. We're good. All right. Then we need third act outro. Outro, and then fourth act intro. And our fourth act outro is actually just going to be the end of the game. Oh, fourth act. And this is going to be print end. Perfect. So that's the story class. Again, we're going to populate this with all of the information for our story, with each of our paragraphs full of story. Next, we're going to move on to our character class. So let's create a new class, character.java. Okay, And the character is going to be a public abstract class because this is going to be a superclass. So public abstract class character. Okay, so we are going to need, we're actually going to need some variables and some attributes for this. So let's, you know what? Let's go ahead and create the character class here while we're here, because there's really not much to do. Variables. Let's do public string name and public int. So there's going to be max HP, HP, and XP. And then we're going to create the constructor. Public character. The constructor is going to need string name, int max HP, int XP. And then we can just assign those values. This dot name equals name. This dot max HP equals max HP. This dot XP equals XP. This dot HP equals max HP. All right. Then the other things we need is attack and defend. So methods that every character has. Now, okay, these are going to also be abstract. So public abstract int attack, public abstract int defend. Now we're not putting anything inside of these methods yet because the character, the player and the enemy are going to have different reactions to this attack and defend method. So believe it or not, this class is actually finished. We don't ever have to type anything else inside of this character class. We are done. Done. Okay, let's create our player. So player.java public class player, and this is going to extends character. Okay. Now, in order for it to work properly, we are going to need a constructor. So player constructor, public player string name. All right. And then we are going to need to override those methods here. So we're going to type this keyword override public int attack. Okay. And override public int defend. Oh yeah, this is not, why did I type that uppercase? Okay. All right, attack and defend. What's the issue? Oh, I see why. Because I have to type super name. Let's do 100 for that argument and 0 for that one. That should be all it's looking for. Okay, there we go. And then what is the issue here? This method must return. Oh yeah, that's right. There has to be a return type. Let's just return 0 for both of these for now, just to get rid of the error. We will do all the calculations for attack and defend later. All right, so that now works. We're going to add a lot more to this later. But for right now, we have a class that is extending character that doesn't actually, that doesn't have any errors. All right, perfect. Next, we need enemy, which is the last class we need to create. So over here, let's create enemy.java. All right. Public class enemy extends character. All right. So we need our enemy constructor. Public enemy, and it's going to take in string name int player XP. We are going to super. The first thing is going to be name, and then the player XP, let's just make that 0 for now. Is that the only? Oh no, there needs to be another one. Make that, yep. Okay. And then we need those override methods. So override public int attack return 0, public int defend return 0. Okay. Yeah, it does. Oh no, I didn't overwrite this, that's why. Okay, now it's working. So now we have basically a fully built skeleton for our game. We have a lot of empty methods in this project so far. Oh. That's a return type, so that's fine. So we have a lot of empty methods in this project so far. And all I did, by the way, I didn't explain what I was doing. In the game logic, the first method is an int return type. So that read int is an integer return type. So we just need to type return 0 to make that error go away. But we have 6 classes full of methods that need content. But we have a pretty decent structure. So let me see. What's my time check here? Oh, we're almost at a half an hour. That was a lot. So I'm going to stop here. And in the next project, or in the next part of this project, we're going to start building some of the stuff out. All right. Thanks for paying attention for this long video, and I'll see you next time.